All right, we are live again on Spaces. Here we go for Sunday night. We've got a good guest set up. George should be here any moment. There he is. Man, you're getting quick with these, George. Co-host. Yeah, we do need some theme music, right?
something, catchy.
Are you like, where are you at? You sound like you're in a tunnel.
No, I'm farther away, that's all.
Oh, all right. It's like, what the hell?
I'm watching golf.
Well, I don't know if you want to get any show notes in before we get our guests to go in. That seems to be a good pace.
Yeah, let's see if those can actually make it.
Uh-oh.
He was having some old man issues.
I was going to blame the weather, but hey.
No. We got violent thunderstorms heading in, so hopefully we remain connected.
All right. Well, if not, I can run the show on my own if I need to.
No, I got my phone back here just for backup. I know how to work it. I know how to back myself up. Already taken care of.
Problem solver at heart. No, I'm here. I'm doing the same stuff.
Let's see.
No, I just know that next week we've got MJ from NJ next week, and then what's up?
There's been some revisions.
Oh, well, see, this is what I was trying to get you to go. You just sit here and you're all waiting for your mic.
Oh,
Come on, man.
He's Jeff. He's in here already.
Oh. I think here he's coming in as, all right, here we go. Invite to speak. Could have done the ask to speak. I didn't realize that was him. I see it now.
Right. You just looked at it.
Yep. Nope. I see it. I was getting my other screen up so I could have, in case people when they put in the comments, I like to have that up so we can take live questions if we need to. All right, Dose.
Jeff, I like that. Very,
He's smart. Puts Mrs. Dose in the profile picture.
Gonna confuse people.
I know, right? It confused me.
Will people know that it's him?
I don't know. It won't tell them through the app, but that's fine. Because either way, I can record it and put it on YouTube. So.
Okay, so next week at 8:05 is MJ. That's right. That's confirmed.
Okay.
June 29th. Just because July is a disaster.
Yeah.
It's really, we don't know what the hell's going to be going on. June 29th, Marie Shadows will be with us, and she knows it's a possibility of going early or regular time. So I worked it out with her already.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, that one should still be decently okay for the time because there's nothing there. It's like, I think it's like 3 or 4 Sundays in a row or 3 out of 4 Sundays for July.
Well, I was thinking about your Jeopardy thing. That's why.
Oh, yeah. Hey, if he wants to, yeah, I'm ready to go.
I told her.
Hey, there he is. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Sorry about the delay. My computer was telling me to allow my microphone, and I just didn't see it. I was looking at the wrong side of the screen.
Oh, you're good. You are good.
We're just
good to have you, Dose.
Good to be had.
I think that was it for me, Jake.
All right, good. I wasn't sure if
you had all the housekeeping out of the way, and yeah, we're good.
No, I know we've got with July there's the All In and Evolution 2 weekend. There's the TNA pay-per-view the next weekend. SummerSlam's two nights. So yeah, just stay tuned. We'll make sure to post. We'll make sure to keep posting both through X and through our YouTube if we need to. But we do have our special guest. Yeah, what's up, buddy?
The one thing for sure will be July 6th will be the listener show for sure.
Okay, cool, awesome. Okay, and we could always go a little long after these if we do have people that have questions and they want to bring questions forth. I'm happy to answer them. But all right, so we do have our guest, even though he's through his looks like his personal account to make sure that you all know that he actually does have a wife, and so the neckbeards know that he actually does feel the touch of a woman, unlike most of the neckbeards who seem to be after us. But we have Evil Dose with us. I was gonna try to name the things that you're from, but I feel like I should let you do that since you got a bunch of different projects that you're a part of.
Don't I just? Yeah. How's it going?
I love it. Good. How are you, my friend?
Doing all right. I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me on the show. It was an honor to be invited.
Absolutely. I'm glad. Yeah, no, George is the best with that booking, as you can see with the leading in for the housekeeping notes. He's always got something cooking.
Well, his last name is a vocation, not just a word.
Oh, it's deep. Dose, it's shortened from Kaptarowski.
Oh, my goodness. I'll capture your Rowski.
Oh man. Well, yeah, at least why don't we start with that with Joe? It's like, what is all the stuff you're part of? I know you've got your podcast and then you got stuff with Wrestling Soup as well, but why don't you tell the people with all of that? We can kind of just get started there.
Sure, why not? All right. So my podcast is called Garden of Thought. There's basically 2 to 3 sort of sub shows under that. One is Garden of Thought, what used to be Garden of Doom. Without doing a long description of it, if you put on the History Channel at 7 p.m. and left the channel on until 3 or 4 a.m. and just watched everything that's on there, that's sort of like the landscape we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. The midweek show tends to be more earthbound. It's more legal, business, tech, geopolitic, sort of a general interest. It's more like the old news shows like 48 Hours or whatever, but it's like one segment.
Okay.
But I do chase a lot of law of space or things that might be tied to law of space or space policies in there just because that's a big curiosity of mine. And I did that so well that it got me on the board of international not-for-profit called the Space Court Foundation. And I'm something called an advisory member, something called the American Space Law Society, or something like that. The reason I'm not really sure what the name is because I haven't had to do anything. So it's hard to know. As far as other stuff, I review NXT PLEs, and we did Worlds Collide on the Drew Yari experience, which is also part of Wrestling Soup, sort of the family anyway. I do the Evolve review show on the Wrestling Soup and Friendos feed, though that might be moved over to the regular feed. I'm not really sure, but it's called A Dose of Chocolate. I think we're the only podcast dedicated to Evolve. So if you're interested in Evolve, you watch Evolve, or more importantly, you're a wrestler affiliate with Evolve, come check us out. If you're a wrestler, we'd love to have you as a guest. We want someone who sort of knows these kids and what's going on.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I know that's kind of one of the things that we initially connected on over on Phil's show, was that we were both big fans of NXT and watching the next generation grow. And you're even more so a bigger fan of that than I am. And so that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the truth. All wrestling is reruns. And when you've been watching as long as I have, it's boring. After a while, it's just like, okay, this is recycled. Okay, this is recycled. But seeing the kids do things is not recycled. Seeing people grow isn't recycled. It's like, if you're tired of Major League Baseball, you may want to watch Single A or Double A for a while. And it's just, you're watching the people as opposed to the product. So it's a little bit of a different experience.
Yeah, for me, it's that you can almost just see sometimes where it clicks for somebody, or when you first see them and it's a little bit rough, or, you can see there's potential, but it's, really rough around the edges, and then watch someone grow and, not to make a bad pun, but evolve, watching a talent like, Ren Sinclair or, Lash Legend, for when they first came out, they were, you could see the potential in them, but now they're actually stars, and you can see they figured it out. And that's what's cool to me. I guess, I'm a child of 2 teachers, and my father was a soccer coach. So I think I have that just innate in me of just wanting to see people improve and get better, or even talent that, that have come over from other promotions. And Lexis King, for example, how much of evolution did Brian Pillman Jr. have on TV for 3 years over at AEW? But Lexis King's only been on NXT for, is it a little under a year? He came over last fall, right? And just, it's leaps and bounds, and he's a whole new person, legitimately.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it's been. I feel like it's been more than a year, but I'm honestly not too sure.
At times, a construct, it's all weird,
Exactly. I mean,
I feel like
is it Earth time? Is it Venusian time? I'm what?
Right. Yeah, and then I feel like COVID just messed all of that up, so we don't know.
Right.
No, I just feel like he was, because I feel like I really got into NXT right around the time. I was watching it as much as I could before, but I've made sure it's appointment television for me since they moved over to the CW, and it's been awesome to watch. And to see how cool and how invested the CW is into that. That's kind of one of the reasons why I think I wouldn't be surprised if before the end of the summer we find out that starting this fall, TNA is going to do their Thursday show over there.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Who said that first?
That would be you, my friend. That was George.
I'm back to watching golf. Thank you.
Hey, no, George, come on. I need you here, buddy. You're my partner. Golf's not that important.
No, I'm just bored.
No, yeah, and you were right, Dose. It was it was July of 23 that Lexis King came up.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a long time. I forgot to even mention the show that's maybe the most interesting to your listeners, which is GOT Presents The Gospel of Thomas, which is with my tag team partner and co-host, Mr. Thomas from MLW Wrestling. member of the Bumaye Fight Club, and we have a feeling that he might be positioned as their top face for the near term. So that's a lot of fun. And we just had a show with Alex Kane, who's newly a free agent, his first interview since hitting free agency. So we really talked honestly and candidly about that because, Thomas is his bestie, which made me a little jealous because Thomas is my bestie. But also that show used to be Book of Black with PJ Black. And it's not like he's not around. It's just like he's laying low right now, but it'll be the Book of Black again when I can coax him back on to talk. He just did a couple things and he's trying to lay low right now. But yeah, next week we got the Savage Gentleman, Victor. Oh my God. The Savage Gentleman, Victor Benjamin next week. I need to slow down in my cadence.
So how is MLW doing in the grand scheme of things?
Well, they've had their 15th straight sellout, so that's good. I mean, they go to venues that are basically 1,000 to 2,000 people. So, they sort of know their market. They run on YouTube. I mean, I know they've got contracts, to run throughout the world and on some of those. I don't know if it's Fight or DAZN or whatever, but, stuff like that. Their shows tend to do between 1 and 200,000 on YouTube, which is not great, but it's okay. And they've gotten a lot better with their continuity in the last year and a quarter than like when I would watch it before, like I'd watch, one episode and then the next, like all of a sudden people who were heels were faces with no explanation. And like the feuds were like, I felt like I was in the middle of feuds and, now the continuity, it's much better. They also used to do a lot of stuff with AAA. The last year they've been doing stuff with CMLL. And the only reason I raise that is because when everyone's making a big deal about Hologram, I'm like, that's Aramis. He's been on MLW fighting Aries every week for the last year. I mean, you could have seen everything. And they've been doing stuff with CMLL. Mystico's been on. He was the middleweight champion. The openweight champion. Templario's on there. Sfinge. They've got the Panther brothers. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And, Dijak is there. Riddle is the champion now. Tom Paystock, Baron Corbin, Bishop Diab, or whatever you call him. He's right there now. Baba Thunder, is there in Contra, of course. So, yeah.
How's their production for their TV product, for their YouTube product? How's the production looking?
It's great.
I've never seen it, I'll be honest.
It's still got that ECW feel to it.
Okay.
It's still got that, not HD quality to it, but maybe that's just because of the YouTube carrier. I'm not quite sure. But it's fun.
Yeah, it could be like one of those transfer things too, where it's like it loses the generation in a transfer of the way it streams. I could see that.
I mean, but I've come to know Marie Shadows a little bit, and she does work for MLW, and through Thomas, I've had Akira Kwan's been on the show, and Dario Cueto, Cesar Duran, that actor, he's been on the show, and we have a little email relationship. I'm not sure. But I don't know. It's fun. I sort of feel I wanted to get some attachment to MLW and NWA. And, I take credit for everything that goes right for everybody else except for myself. I'm a good luck for everybody except me, which tends to be true. So AltJake, strap in. You're about to take off.
Hey, I'm all for it. We'll absolutely take it. I was going to say, take a bow then with the NWA. They just signed it. It's with Roku, correct? They just got to deal with them.
They did. And I have taken a bow.
That's awesome.
Right. And listen, now I have a little text relationship with Aaron Stevens. He's been on the show with PJ and he's been on my regular show and he's coming back again in August. We actually have a little tandem where I have a friend who's a Gnostic old Catholic reverend in the UK. And him and Aaron, they sort of have a lot of like theater and literature commonality. So they come in as sort of like my little experts on things like the occult and Shakespeare. And we're talking about esotericism and like things like Wizard of Oz and Through the Looking Glass in a couple months. So, there's always a risk of, something getting canceled or delayed, but feel pretty good about it now that he's posted twice. So, I'm pretty sure that he's a stand-up guy. So,
cool.
Hey, and I thought our conversations went all sorts of places. That's cool. I love it. That's awesome.
I never thought I'd be able to text Damien Sandow. He texts back.
Right. I was just gonna say for people that don't know, yeah, it's Damien Sandow, and then PJ Black is the former Justin Gabriel as well. And I know some people.
That's right. And my son, my son, he's about to turn 25, and my kids like wrestling for about 2 years when they were young, and like normal people, they grow out of it.
Not like the rest of
But
us.
I told my oldest, I said, I'm doing a show with PJ Black. He's like, what? He's like a pro wrestler. He's been a pro wrestler for 25 years. Oh, he's Justin Gabriel. And he goes, I know who Justin Gabriel is.
I saw Justin Gabriel wrestle because it was WrestleMania 26 was here in Phoenix, well, it was in Glendale, but it was before what WWE World is now. It used to be WrestleMania Access, and they had random matches in there. I forget who he wrestled, but I remember he was the big standout because he was doing, was it like the 450 splash or whatever? But they had the ring where you could walk right up to it. It was awesome. We saw 3 different matches, and he's the only one that stood out that I remember, and that would have been 2010? Yeah, that would have been spring 2010 was WrestleMania 26. But yeah, every time you talk about him,
he's super good at this. He's super good at wrestling.
Very athletic.
Here's the irritating thing about him is that he's really smart and really good looking too.
Well, it's a scary combination.
Yeah.
I know what that's like, but I'm just saying for other people.
Of course you do. But most of us don't. And he's getting better looking.
Aging like why?
Again, I understand.
George Capture, our resident Paul Rudd around here.
Pretty much. He just accepted an invitation to join the Freemasons. So he sent me pictures of him in a tuxedo. You know, he's all coiffed up. He's got his beard and his mustache all Errol Flynn done. And he's wearing like his Apple glasses. So he looks like super Hollywood smarty. And he's just so freaking good looking. I'm just like, I hate you. He looks great in a tux. I mean, it's just like, he's perfect.
I'm not sure I'm not sure about Freemasons was where I would have guessed if you would have given me like 10 guesses of what he was doing in the picture at Tux. I would have, not sure what he.
Right. Cauliflower Alley Club, right, some sort of like.
Officiants of a wedding. Yeah. That's awesome though. That's cool.
With Jomo.
Anything but Freemason.
Yeah. I was not excited, but that's cool. I mean, that shows you how diverse it is, how diverse he is. And that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, the library is what sucked him in. He's like, I've been chasing him off for a while, but he's like, I saw the library and I couldn't resist.
How did you get connected with him initially to end up doing a show with him?
John Kiernan from when I was in the Solid Monster Sounds Off group, John Kiernan was also, and while, it's been popular for a while to say nobody liked me there, actually a lot of people liked me there. And some of us stayed friends. And when I started doing the show, John listened enough. And he listened enough to go, he sounds like PJ. And so he introduced us.
Oh,
so
nice. Yeah.
PJ was my guest on, I think, episode 52 or 50, whatever it was. The content is fabulous. The audio sucks shit. But it was like we've been friendly ever since then.
That's cool. No, that's awesome. Hey, sometimes it just kind of falls into place. I fell into doing this randomly because it just kind of happened. So that's awesome. You just gotta roll with the punches and go with it. I love it.
Yeah.
Dos, when you first started coming on certain shows, you were wearing the mask, I believe. Is that how it started? Or?
Yeah. Okay, so this was me thinking that everybody on Tooneytown was going to be in gimmick. And Marvin made it clear that he wanted everyone else to have puppets, that he was the puppet. That was his thing. Okay, fair enough. So I'm not very tech savvy, so I don't know how to do an avatar or whatever, but I knew I could, do an octopus mask. So I ordered a couple of octopus masks, and the first one that came was supposed to be like a ski mask octopus mask. It sucked. It was totally bad. It just looked like a frayed edge, a balaclava.
Yeah, like something AEW would sell.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it was also really hot. So I just took it off. It's like, I'm not trying to hide my face. I just thought it was, if everyone's doing a fun gimmick, but some of them didn't show themselves at all. And of course, Vince is just Vince, and and some of the other guests were just them. So I'm just like, okay, I'm being stupid. I completely overthought the thing. And now I have like an actual like Cthulhu mask that like I'll never wear ever.
Hey, it's a decent gimmick though. I like it.
Yeah. I thought, this is just me thinking things without having a conversation with anybody else and thinking that this is just going to be in because it was in my head. I decided to buy some stupid shit.
That's cool.
I mean, is that where the dose evil came from too?
No, the dose evil came from, well, one, I couldn't get evil dose because when Evil Uno came out, I thought it was like the stupidest thing. So I just would chase Evil Uno around, and he'd post something like Evil Uno is great at Mario Brothers, and I say, Evil Dose is twice as good as Mario Brothers and has easily doubled your top score.
Oh, yeah.
That is why Evil Dose shall prevail. I would just follow him, whatever he would say. and it got to a point where like when I was semi-popular, that like other people would do the same thing, and like he was on a live, and I saw it because somebody streamed it. And he's like he's doing a video game. He's probably playing Call of Duty or something, and people are talking, and somebody goes to him, "How about Evil Dose?" And Evil Uno goes, "There is no Evil Dose. There's Stu Grace, and I have Evil Uno has Stu Grace." And they're like, "No, Evil Dose shall prevail." And I'm like, "Yes." But I should have died after that because nothing else happened.
That was the apex. No, I'd actually forgotten about that. No, I remember seeing those. That was kind of when I was first got back into this world, and somehow I had to take my personal account ended up being the account that I'm using for the IWC. Like, that's funny.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Right? Yeah, no. I only care because I don't want people to bother my wife. That's why I keep my face off of it, at least for now. I say at least till it makes me money. If it makes me money, all right, I can start going on video. But right. Yeah, it's not so much about me. I don't give a shit, but I care more about her.
Yeah, it's true. My wife can take care of herself.
That's fair. For the few interactions I've had with your wife through on PWT lives and stuff. Yeah, I would probably pick her in the zombie apocalypse before you, my friend. I just being honest.
Oh, as you should. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're going to MLW next week. We're going to me, her son. We're meeting the other two guys that, when I had Hammerlock hangover, Steve and Ron, and Marie Shadows will be there. Of course, she's working the show, and I think her boyfriend will be there, but I'm getting a media pass. So does that make me an insider now?
Yes. I mean, more so.
Okay.
Yeah, more so than, and you have more integrity than anybody else who considers himself an insider. Not anybody else, but
you can be
most everybody else.
You can be the leak guy.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I try, but I'm not actually a
So what type, like what, I mean, not to blow up your location. So like just, to name the arena, but like what size of arena is, or is it an arena? Or it's like a theater? Like what type of venues are they performing at?
It's the Melrose Ballroom in Queens, New York, Long Island City to be specific. So it's going to be, it's going to be live on YouTube. They'll probably break it up into two shows. That's what they usually do. With their live events, they stream half of it live, and then the other half they run about a month or so later. Yeah, and we're going to drive up. My family. Well, you don't know, nobody knows, but my folks still live in New York, and my brother and his wife and kids, they live in the city. Though actually, I mean, the kids will mostly be away, or otherwise engaged. But
wow, this worked out good then. I got you on this week, and I got Marie on 2 weeks from now. Wow.
Yeah.
Good. I didn't know any of that, by the way.
Take the bow, George. That's perfect booking. I love it.
Yeah.
You were setting it up. He knew what he was doing.
Well, that's going to be after the show.
Yeah,
so that's what I'll tell you. I mean, I'm going to be collecting friends. I'm going to come out of that with so many new best friends.
Hell yeah.
Me and Cruel are going to be, where Mads Kruger and I are going to be friends. Shotzi's going on the show. I mean,
yeah.
That'll get me killed.
That'll get me.
Lesbian or not, it'll still get me killed. I don't know. Maybe me and Kojima. Who knows?
Hey, promote it out. That's great. Get yourself get yourself set up for the rest of the year for podcast guests.
Yeah, Mystico. me and the best wrestler in the world.
I was just going to say, he's a giant international star from what I've been told.
Yeah.
At least I've heard
apparently speaks no English. So we'll see.
Dose,
then again, my wife speaks Spanish, doesn't she?
Dose, do you have a legal background?
I do. You mean my criminal record?
No, I meant like actual law. Well, that could be considered the same, I guess.
Yes.
I'm
a lawyer. I've been a lawyer since 1994.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure.
I was hoping so, just because, I mean, with the level of expertise, if you weren't, it would have seemed like you'd kind of put a lot of time into it. No, that's awesome. I know you're kind of like the legal expert for, I mean, that's pretty much your main role for the Wrestling Soup guys, is kind of breaking stuff down into terms that the rest of us can understand.
I try to do that. I mean, I've tried to get in touch with some of the other wrestling lawyers to do a collab. I mean, I know Steve knew, but he's too busy for that. He's doing his own thing. He was on Hammerlock Hangover a couple times, and he's promised to do a show with me in the future, on his AEW suit.
That'd be awesome.
Some of the other guys, like Stat Guy Greg from Rosenberg Show. There's a couple of others. There's a guy named Cruz. There's a few others, but there hasn't been any response.
Shocking. People playing big time. Well, I mean, at least you didn't say, Mark Sterling as an actual lawyer. So.
Well, I would, except he's under contract, so he can't talk about the things that, I'd want to do like, sort of like the sports reporter, but sort of like the wrestling lawyers, talk about legal wrestling topics. And, I figured it'd be sort of a unique kind of thing, but I mean, I have to hear from them or be able to, they have to read my message or accept. See, I'm not certified and I won't pay for certified, so I can't just blindly DM most people.
Oh,
I know that problem.
Yeah. Hey, you seem to be doing pretty well with it, George. The word of mouth comes around well. At least when no one's coming out of the show like, no, don't go with those guys. We're getting a good report. Yeah. No, I keep getting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if I really want to, I could pay $8 1 month and then cancel it or just keep it. I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's like people call you a grifter, but when you have 1,300 followers, it's not like you're making money.
Right. Yeah. It's more about the verified followers that you have. Cause anytime that like I get a decent response to a tweet or something, Twitter's always like, hey, do you want to get verified? No, I'm not. I have like 600 followers. I'm fine.
Right.
Well, if we get there one day, great. But until then, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I mean, obviously.
Is there anything going on legally in the wrestling world that we should be taking note of, or that you would like to discuss with us, or do you think there's anything in the future?
I mean, I think the big things that are going on. They're just, I mean, I think people are learning just how slowly processes take, and then how quickly they can just go away. So, I mean, obviously the Janelle Grant lawsuit is a big one, but we are now in the third time the motions have been filed to remove the case to arbitration, and it's because it's in different courts and then there's been overcoming of other procedural obstacles, which has forced it to be a do-over. So, we really haven't gotten past preliminary motions on that case. Grant also has a separate case involving Dr. Coulter and I forget the name of it. It's like Prime Health or whatever it's called in Connecticut. There's the Take Twins and Kevin Kelly lawsuit against AEW, which is also there's a motion to move that to arbitration.
I think that's the one I'm probably most interested in because you haven't heard as much. There was a big story kind of when it broke, but then nothing. And I'm very curious because back to isn't Steve New involved in that one too?
What does arbitration actually mean? What does arbitration mean, Toast?
So I'm trying to figure out how to.
I really don't know.
For those who want to hear like more deep dives in it, I mean, if you go to the Wrestling Soup Network and look for the Body Slam briefs, and I think for a while I did called Black Letter Body Slam or Black Letter briefs. Anyway, those I go into a little bit deeper. Long story short, courts love alternative dispute resolution. Courts are overcrowded, overburdened. They don't love it, and they like ADR. Arbitration is simply that the case gets moved to usually a retired judge or some other lawyer of high credentials, where it's a private trial, basically. The rules of evidence are relaxed. Discovery is less formal, but still extensive. And lots of contracts have arbitration clauses, usually binding arbitration contracts. And to my knowledge, arbitration clauses are undefeated in the world of professional wrestling. So they're more successful than vacant. So, I mean, and people play sides. Nobody wants the Janelle Grant case to go to arbitration, but everybody wants the AEW case to go to arbitration. I mean, I shouldn't say everyone, but half the world, and they reverse sides depending on who the defendant is.
Shocking.
Yeah. But that's what arbitration is. It's just, it is the parties have mutually agreed to not go to court to have any disputes that can be heard related to the contract in a private, quasi litigation forum or venue.
And it's usually the defendants that want to take it to arbitration to keep it. Yeah, that makes sense. That's
usually, yes, but I mean, there's a lot of advantages to arbitration. One, it goes quicker. Two, it's cheaper. And because a lot of things are relaxed, it's sort of uber cheaper, and it's a little bit, it's more fun. So usually, I mean, the plaintiffs may want to also, because the defendants tend to be better resourced, and they're the ones that can paper you to death and keep motioning. Though, with the Grant case, those attorneys are pretty motivated, so they'll probably do whatever they have to do. But not every attorney is going to go out of pocket forever, if ever,
Right.
to do that. So there's pros and cons for both sides, and plenty of arbitration says parties bear their own costs. Some say loser pays, or winner gets their money back, but not all, and so I'm not sure what it is in this, but it's probably both sides had to make some deposit. Well, it's not decided yet, but they'll probably have to make some deposit to the arbitrator, and the arbitrator, most cases I'm involved with, they ask for 2 to 4 hours from each side. In this, they'll probably ask for, 40 to 80 hours from each side, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Wow, the American justice system is so complex. Holy smokes.
Well, in its own way, this is supposed to make
Easier.
it simpler.
It's supposed, but like the key word in that sentence was supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, let's take it out of, let's demystify it.
Please.
Okay? Let's just say you're in a labor union and your boss wants to fire you and you don't want to be fired. So instead of firing you and you having to take them to court and try to find someone to do it, you file agreements with your union. And then they file a formal complaint or whatever it is, or maybe an informal one, and then it goes before an internal. Most union contracts have a 3-step process if needed, and then it's going to go to some sort of informal or less formal review or meeting, hearing if you want to call it that. Before a mediator or whatnot, and just like every other thing in the world, most things resolve, most things settle. So when you've got 3 steps, maybe 70% of them settle at the first time, or 50%, and maybe the percentages go up. But when you only have one shot and it's binding, it's probably back up to 90, 98% of things get settled, resolved. So, but if you're so if you demystify it, it actually is supposed to make life easier, and it does. It's just like in cases like this, the Grand Camp wants to keep it in the news.
Right.
They think that they're going to win the PR war, but it's not just that. These allegations are horrific and they're very colorful. So that's the kind of thing, if you're a plaintiff's attorney, you want to get to a jury. If you are the defendant, you don't want people to hear about it. You don't want it being on a record.
Right. That's where I was thinking the defendants would want it to go this way to keep it quiet and over there.
Well, that's exactly right, which is why, they have it in there. But the wrestling industry has had arbitration provisions in it long before there were publicly traded companies or, anything like this was, known. I don't know. The Ring Boy case is still going on. That's still happening. There's a few others. Trademark stuff is always fun.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's sort of under the radar usually.
Yeah, and then that's where the other thing what George was saying about the American legal system, because there's all different types of avenues for different types of, that's one of the things I'm glad we have people like you to kind of explain that to us in terms that we can understand it, mostly understand it.
Yeah, well, he's right. There's tons and tons of law. There's statutes, there's rules, there's local ordinances, there's state statutes, there's federal statutes, there's common law, there's international items, so there's a whole lot. Immigration is big. Immigration is going to be huge for wrestling coming up. AEW is already having some problems with. I don't know if WWE will or won't, but they very well might, especially
if
they're really issues on the AAA.
Yeah.
Thing, so.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about that part. You're absolutely right. Good Lord.
Yeah. So keep a lookout on stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
that's why Shida apparently is still in Japan. Apparently her work visa expired and she's having trouble getting it renewed.
Oh.
Yeah,
not
that she'd be doing anything.
I was just going to say, not that anybody would make it surprised that she would have been just off TV just regularly. That's what we all just assume because that's how that company works. But it does make sense. I know we know Pac's injured right now, but if he wasn't, I would just assume that was him because he's had it almost every either year or 18 months. I feel like he's had an issue with that visa.
I think he does it on purpose.
I wouldn't blame him, honestly. Well, I feel like maybe is it visa issues? It'd be hard to get that. Tony could still do it, but it'd be hard to have him add time onto your contract. Although I'm not sure if maybe he wants to stay and gets paid because he gets to live
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why he bothered this. I mean, I think Pac is actually, or Pac, however he says it, I mean, I think he legitimately hates WWE. So I don't think it's like he's ever going to work for the competition.
No, and he gets to live in, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, he's got the Will Ospreay deal where he can live in the UK and just get flown over. And so not the worst way about it. And, oh, my visa's not working. Sorry. I'll just hang out back home in the UK. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah, he's the OG, bro.
He's the OG, bro. He limped so Ospreay could walk. I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah. Wasn't trying to be mean, but the guy gets injured a lot.
He does.
He sure does.
No, but
well,
that's,
so I'm sorry, go ahead, Jake.
I was just gonna say, well, it's good to have you as our resident legal expert for the AltJake Takes On team, because George and I openly admit, you know, we've got our moments, but we are not the smartest people. We appreciate having you on for that.
Well, listen, I have to have some lane that keeps me useful and relevant to, successful podcasts. Otherwise, it's just my own. And geez, that's no good.
Question is, are you useful and relevant to the WBD situation? Can you explain what's going on over there, or is that something you're out of?
I mean, that's more business.
Yeah, that's what I was
law,
asking, because I really don't understand what's going on.
And for, whatever I knew or didn't know way back when, that ended like 3 weeks before that disastrous shareholder call they had, where they, wrote down like $9 or $10 billion off of their the value.
That disaster. I was like, which disaster's call? Oh, right, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good 9 months or so before the new deal got announced. I mean, it was a while before that. So, I mean, all I can tell you is I don't think I have any particular knowledge of this more than anyone else. I mean, I'm still skeptical about the contract that's been reported versus, whether it's the dollars or the clauses in the contract, or whether it's, guaranteed money as Dave Meltzer would have and how much it is per year. I mean, generally speaking, when you have a $185 million a year contract, you never actually get $185 million in any particular year. I mean, it's easier just to do a 3-year contract, but like year 1, you get $165 million. Year 2, you get $185 million. And year 3, you get $205 million. I mean, that's usually how those go. I mean, and I don't know why people don't know that, because they do know it from baseball.
Right.
Football, everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's general sports.
Right. I mean, but it's general everything. And they also know it from TV, where routinely shows get canceled. So, I mean, I know that sports don't usually go that way. And, AEW isn't technically categorized as a sport. It's sort of treated quasi as a sport, which is sort of wrestling in general. So we don't know if it's guaranteed, or if the network can cancel, or there's buyout clauses. I mean, I would think that there would be, especially since they broke the bank. We don't know how much of it is tied to Max or HBO Max, and if they were supposed to get pay-per-views, and if that was going to be included sort of like Peacock, or if you were going to, you could buy pay-per-views if you had Max and pay $35 for them and not $50 for them. We don't know any of that stuff. And it's weird how little that we have. But all I know is that Warner Bros. Discovery is doing shitty. They lose they're splitting into 2 companies. Zaslav, who my last information was, he was the savior of AEW. He was the deciding voice. Like, many of the people there didn't want AEW, but it's wrestling. They're not going to really argue too much about it. But he's going to be in the company. He's going to be running the company in 2026. That isn't TV. He's going to do like streaming and whatever. And TV is with some other guy with, I don't know, it was like a Dutch or German name. It was yeah. And so whether Zaslav not being involved directly is a big deal. Whether it'll still be on Max, who knows? I mean, they could easily just do a licensing contract between the 2 companies for, $1 or, whatever it is. But it might be more complicated than that. I just have no idea. I mean, and anyone who says they do.
That's the thing, is they act like they're so for certain about it. And it's like, yeah, no. And like you said, the amounts, like the 185 is just averaging out the 3 years, and it's a television show. No matter what they want to say about it, because I mean, Dave's magic number was 500,000, and they keep hovering closer to that than they should be. And I mean, by the end of the summer, coming to the fall, if they're at, let's say, if their average is 450, why wouldn't they just cancel it if it's not financially viable? Especially if they split the companies into two. The two pictures I've seen of the split into two, I didn't see AEW's logo on either side. So I don't know if that was photoshopped or whatever, but they don't seem to be happy about it. No one's excited about taking this brand. Like you said, there was people at the company that didn't want it. It's not surprising.
Here's the thing too, you gotta realize that they're moving all the debt to the company that has AEW in it. And even a schmuck like me can figure out that when they're moving all the debt to one company, that company's going to declare bankruptcy.
Right. I mean, that's it. It's what it would seem to. And I mean, isn't that what happened to WCW essentially? Yeah.
Or they offload things, or they resell them, or relicense them. I mean, there's a lot of WB properties that have value that now belong to other people, and other companies. And I think the last thing they're keeping is DC Comics, and so I mean, Superman really is very important to this company.
Oof.
That movie, yeah.
I mean, that's that's I feel like the one thing at least I feel like everybody's in agreement on is that all their eggs are in that Superman basket, and it's like, let's
pretty much.
I mean,
whenever you have a lot of question marks and they all need to be answered the right way for you, that's not great. That
right.
said, the only other time I can think of in recent history that's happened was AEW with their renewal. So I mean, they've overcome the labors of Hercules before. They went through the pinnacle once before. So
yeah, I feel like that's not one of those things where the experience helps you with it. It's going back. It's that GTA meme. Oh shit, here we go again. Like it's that all over again. Oh fuck.
Well, there's a maxim out there that says never bet against billionaires. So
well, that's why I don't think like even if they get canceled by WBD completely, like they're not going away. Like Tony will just continue to do what he's doing and pay for it more and just put it on YouTube or whatever until they can figure out something else, or have his dad start an app that'll fail miserably like everything else they do besides the bumper company. Like they're not going away. It's just
they certainly can, but don't you think that all of this, energy in staying on Warner Brothers Discovery, not shopping Ring of Honor around to other, networks when they could have, is because they do at least want the indicia or the appearance of objective business success that maybe they're trying to save face, that the public embarrassment, like he doesn't want to buy his own network. He doesn't want to be seen to be financing it, even if he wants to be able to, have this public myth that he's a successful businessman and running a profitable. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we do know he has enough funds, father or not, that he could keep AEW running forever.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not what they would want to happen. I feel like he would pay whatever he would have to WBD behind the scenes to try to keep it. Just saying, if that were to happen, Tony will, at least for a period of time, at least until he actually gets fried out or Daddy does cut him off. But
Collision should be on the CW.
Oh, absolutely.
They had their chance before NXT did.
Well, was it Collision or was it Ring of Honor or was it?
Ring of Honor. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
right.
no,
I apologize.
No, you're fine. It's the same fucking thing. I mean, they run everybody's. They cross it all.
They should be on CW. They'd
Absolutely,
be the same compliments that they're.
And it wasn't. Ring of Honor is on like what to keep it on Honor Club that nobody's paying for, that nobody's watching. Like, yeah, he didn't even negotiate with the CW. Like, at least if you get in negotiation with the CW and he wanted to be on WBD with ROH, maybe they would have made some sort of deal. It would have had to be on like True TV or something. But he didn't even want to negotiate. He didn't even want to get into that.
Yeah, because he's hung up on, because he was a kid, he watched TBS and TNT, watching WCW, and that's his favorite network, and he's not just.
Yeah, no, and he hires, as I talked about for a good while with the SC Maniacs on Thursday, is that he just hires his friends, or he hires people, that will kiss his ass completely. I mean, that's how that thing happened. That's what we can talk to Dose about too. There's another good one. The whole thing with the music where the guy got it, where he had the music essentially stolen from him and his vocals wiped off of that, and Tony changed the song for, I think it was Mina Shirakawa. how much trouble could that actually get Tony in for all of that? If that guy got a good lawyer, Stephen Pinu.
I mean, copyright infringement, if they had a registered copyright, it doesn't require bad faith or knowing. It's infringement itself carries statutory damages, injunctive relief, and attorney's fees. Now, injunctive relief, he voluntarily took it down. So, I mean, the attorney's fees need to be reasonable. So you can't very well file for an injunction once somebody's taken it down and said, we'll never use it again. So, I mean, what those damages would be, I don't know, but maybe 5 figures.
I mean, and I feel like the damage, it's just that part's whatever it is. And obviously money's not going to matter to Tony, but just the fact that can still happen in a company that's as old. I mean, they want to talk about, we're only a 5-year-old company and we're still doing all this great stuff. Like, no, you're a 5-year-old company making amateur hour, day one, year one mistakes again and again.
Here's the thing that's funny too, is he'll pay $500 or $300,000 for Final Countdown 17 times. He won't pay some guy that guy would have took probably $25,000 to play a song.
Right.
How stupid is this?
Well, and that goes back to the people that he hires, because I feel like it never got put in front of him to have that as an option. That he just puts his idiot friends in charge, or whomever his idiot friends tell. And I say friends with air quotes because I'm not sure if he has any real friends, because people just hang out with him for his money. He seems too awkward to have any real friends. But that's
in fairness, I mean, Cody Rhodes and WWE walked into the same thing with the American Nightmare.
They did. They did.
So, I mean, sometimes you just take people at their word. Sometimes you just take people at their word. And is it dumb? Yes. But,
I mean, they ran into the problem with Yeet at the beginning too, and they had to work that out. And I feel like there's nobody who's benefited more. I mean, everybody says that Jey Uso is nothing but the Yeet catchphrase, but how about that wrestler who trademarked it first and is now getting some sort of paycheck or percentage of all that merch? And he did have Stephen Pinu as his lawyer, so we know that worked out well for him.
Right. Well, he's a West Virginia indie wrestler, so
whoever that indie wrestler is, that dude's got a house because of Jey Uso. He's got to be pumped.
Do you think he got paid a one-shot settlement on that? Yeah.
Yeah. He did. I mean, nobody else feels this way. Maybe I'm the only one, which is not unusual, but the person I feel bad about for the Yeet stuff is Jimmy. Could have been him.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing about it is I understand that many people think that it is just the Yeet that got him over, and that is a big part of it. But for me, what got Jay over with me, it's him is he's a charismatic guy. Like when he's for me, it was the interview after the first Raw on Netflix where he was at the podium with, I think it was Wade and Tessitore, and they were laughing about, I think it was Travis Scott smoking the blunt on the way down, and Jay, how he interacted with them and made and joked with that. He's just super charismatic. And so while, Jimmy's got to be happy for him, but there's also a part of him that's got to be a little bummed out. But there's also somewhat I've seen of a movement of people that say that Jimmy should get a push and give it a chance. And I mean, they're only 39 years old. And I mean, that sounds old, but for wrestling, I mean, they've got to their mid 40s or later. I mean, so I'm excited to see what could happen for Jimmy, but you've got a very valid point that, he's had to kind of sit there on the wayside and not really even have matches at Mania.
Maybe I've just been jealous of my brother for too long.
I can't speak to that. I'm an only child, so I can't speak to that.
Any of you guys fathers?
I am.
George is.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you, Dose. You as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thanks for coming on Father's Day. We appreciate that for sure.
My kids are grown and don't live here, so.
Fair enough. I also feel Father's Day and Mother's Day is stuff that you do a brunch or a lunch situation so that everybody can, because what does a father really want? Have his evenings alone,
right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
A nap.
Yeah. No, that's why, my father passed away a long time ago, but we went out for my father-in-law's for today, and he wanted to do a brewery. We're like, yes, lunch at a brewery. That's perfect dad stuff, I feel like.
That's right. Men are cool.
Yeah. We want to make it easy. We're not trying to, my birthday's next week. Steak dinner? I'm fine. I don't need much. I'm easy.
So
we'll go somewhere nice.
Dose, did you like Gunther beating Jimmy then and get back to normal here?
You mean Jay?
Jay. Yeah, Jay. No, I'm all confused.
That's why we're a team, my friend. Between the two of us, we're like one comprehensive human.
Yeah, did you like the Gunther win back?
Yes, I'm firmly in the no yeet camp. I don't
I
see any
understand.
reason to put a title on Coco Beware or Scotty Too Hottie.
As someone who's been to the live shows, I can tell you it's more than that. But it made sense. I wasn't that, I was surprised they did it when they did, simply just because I thought Seth taking it off of Jay was gonna like solidify him more as a heel. But it also makes sense if the Goldberg thing, even though it's still just a rumor, feels like it's got some legs to it to have Goldberg at Saturday Night's Main Event. And
Well, they've been
I
trying
could
to
see
set
them
up
doing it
Goldberg
with
and
Goldberg.
Gunther for like 2 years now, so it'll
Yeah,
happen.
Well, that Saturday Night Main Event that's against All In is, well, I guess not because they moved the All In time for the start time, but either way, that one's in Atlanta. It would make a lot of sense. And I could see it to where they could, I could see it where Goldberg could actually win that match, but then Seth takes it, but I don't think so.
Is All In on Sunday or is it on Saturday?
No,
Saturday.
12th, that's Saturday. So it's Saturday night's main event, but also the NXT Great American Bash is going right up against All In as far as I know. So
I thought it was Evolution that was going.
That's the Sunday. That's the next day. That's the 13th. That's the very next day, also in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, WWE's doing 3 shows that weekend. NXT, Saturday night's main event, and
good.
Yeah. No, and then the next weekend is the big TNA show in Long Island where Mike Santana should beat Trick Williams for the championship there. And then you have like one weekend of chill, and then the next weekend is SummerSlam. That's 2 nights. So it's gonna be a hot summer coming in.
Yeah, luckily I don't watch TNA yet.
I've been checking in on it and paying attention where I can. It's definitely better than AEW. I mean, that's clear. And for me, I'm usually what I'll do is I'll record it and kind of skip certain parts or be able to skip the commercials. But I think it's cool to at least see Trick Williams kind of get to play like the top super heel, because they really are presenting him as anti TNA and doesn't care about him over there. And I mean, they're putting him with AJ Francis, so he's getting a lot of heat. And I feel like that's his last thing he's going to do before he's going to drop the title to Mike Santana at the show in New York, and then go up to the main roster, and he could be back to being a babyface or whatever. But this is like the final icing on the cake for him. Kind of like we were talking about when we watch people get it in NXT. There's also the other good thing about NXT is they really give time to make sure they're fully polished and ready to go up to the main roster, as opposed to sometimes, like if it was Vince, Obafemi would have already been on the main roster and probably failed by now. He would have been brought up at the Royal Rumble or something stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens once Trick does drop that title and go to the main roster. But that should be this. I mean, he could make it onto SummerSlam somehow. Who knows?
Dos, when did your
That'd be cool. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do this or not, because there's pros and cons to it. But I could see him and Carmelo, renewing that, their partnership rivalry, and it can be like a Triple H Shawn thing for 15 years.
That's not a bad idea, especially with the tag division on SmackDown seeming to get more emphasis on at least having legitimate teams that are. I mean, whether people like the Wyatt Six storyline or not, at least it's a storyline that they're continuing to go into, and there's enough teams involved that are really talented with Fraxium and the Machine Guns. And I mean, I really love the Street Profits. So if you threw Carmelo and Trick into that mix, that could be another team that could be fun. I'm not opposed to that for sure.
Cool.
What were you going to say, George?
I'm sorry. Dos, when did your wrestling fandom begin, and who was your favorites, and when you were a youth?
Fandom is going back a long time.
Mini Dos.
Yeah. So the first wrestling match I saw was Antonio Inoki versus Muhammad Ali on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Yes.
But the first wrestler who captured my eye that I remember being just completely fascinated by was Magnificent Morocco. I mean, he had this giant belly and these giant muscular arms like the Hulk, and these weird veins, like Cena sort of has them now in his bicep, where they're like squiggling rivers. And I read comic books, bodybuilding was a thing. People don't have veins like that. Your blood vessels don't look like that normally. I'm just like, who is the guy? And then Superfly Snuka was, they were in a rivalry. Morocco had the Intercontinental title. So Superfly Snuka was Hogan before there was Hogan. So probably those guys. And then, it sort of got you into the Samoans and Gurria, Martel, the Strongbows, Saito and Fuji. Then they put Johnson and Atlas together, which was, of course, two comic book characters come to life in May. So there was all of that, and then a little bit later on, they brought in the Iron Sheik, and then, the rest is history. And around the same time as that, Basic Cable made it to my part of the world. And of course, my parents, got everything a year after everybody else. And then one day flipping around, I see this guy talking about, he doesn't want to toot his own horn, but toot. And that was Arn Anderson. And, I was in.
Okay. No, that makes sense. That's cool where you can have that kind of the both different versions of wrestling kind of presented to you through cable going at that way. What was do you remember the first matches or shows you went to live, or did you not go to a lot of shows in person?
I didn't go to a lot of live shows, but I did go for my birthday 2 years in a row. My dad took me and some of my friends to the Nassau Coliseum, and it was WWF shows.
Sure.
I remember it was supposed to be the Spoiler debuting, but I guess his contract never happened or he no-showed or whatever. So I didn't get the Spoiler. So I was pissed about that. There was a big thing where nobody could break out of the Cobra Clutch, and Superfly Snuka just put his arms out and slid right down. But I guess they said that since Sergeant Slaughter never locked it in, he didn't escape from it. But, I didn't realize that was all bullshit. It's house shows and they're not canon. I didn't know what we were talking about. But I really wanted to see Atlas and Johnson beat the 3 Wild Samoans. And so they kept getting a new partner. The SD Jones, they'd lose. Ivan Putski, they'd lose. Finally, they got Andre the Giant. So I had to see Andre the Giant.
Oh, wow. So you've seen Andre wrestle in person? That's awesome.
Yeah. Once.
Hey, man, once is more than most people will get. That's amazing.
Yeah, I've never got a chance to see Andre in Buffalo at all. Wow, good. That's awesome.
I went to college in Atlanta, so I saw a lot of WCW. It was still it was WCW by then. But I was at the show where Ric Flair no-showed and stole the belt. And so we're there waiting for the main event, and then they announced that Ric Flair isn't there. And they're like, because of a labor dispute or something like that, Ric Flair has stolen the belt. I mean, they really buried him on the speaker. And all of a sudden Lex Luger is there, and we're getting Lex Luger versus Barry Windham, and Barry Windham comes out with J.J. Dillon. So they reversed the face and the heel on us, and we're like, we came to the Great American Bash for this? Boo! Boo!
Yeah, that did not go over well.
Not in the least.
I remember hearing about that Flair not coming. Yeah, they were ready to tear the roof off that place, and you were there.
Yeah, we were pissed.
Yeah.
I remember it. I that was the summer, obviously. It was Great American Bash, and I was smart then. I took a couple of summer courses. I took evidence and something else because they were really hard, and I wasn't very studious my first year, so I knew I needed to play a smarter game. And so I worked as a guest service, room service waiter it was then called the Omni. And that's where the wrestlers stay.
Oh, yeah.
And, so I worked with a couple of dental students and whatever. And so it was great. It was good money. It was relatively easy. I mean, the worst part is you had to go up and collect the trays and bring them back down. But I served Harley Race. I served Dusty Rhodes. Ran into the Freebirds and Lexi. My Diamond Dallas Page and the Freebirds, borrowed my friend's bottle opener and left. Jerks. It was funny though. I saw Jim Ross, who was actually a surprisingly tall man with a wife that was much younger than he was.
The second wife,
or a woman that wasn't his wife. I don't know, but a blonde woman.
Hey, I mean, we recently heard about Jim with Missy Hyatt, so hey,
it wasn't Missy Hyatt. I would have known who Missy Hyatt was.
If he's still getting it,
I only recently learned she's
for him.
She's a Lons woman.
Hey, good for JR. Shout out to JR.
That's Medusa. So's Alundra Blaze, another Lons woman.
Okay. Is there do you have any good or funny stories from the time of doing that? Anything? I mean, aside from the bottle opener being stolen, but anything or any doors that open when you had to grab the trays where you saw things you shouldn't or anything? I feel like the statute of limitations is
no. All I could do with Harley Race was smaller than you'd think he would be. Giant scar where he had open heart surgery. Didn't care. He walked around with no shirt.
Right.
He was smoking a cigarette. I'll never forget. He got his burger with the pepper jack cheese with the different peppers in it with different colors. And that was sort of still new then. I'm like, should he be doing that? He's like, yeah. He's like, thank you. And then when I went to Dusty's room, he was the office then. So, you know how, computers used to have the printing paper that was,
Yeah.
would run on the two trains and print out. So he had like 8 pieces of paper reamed together, like, like scrolls or whatever. And it must have been like the attendance or whatever. So it was too long just to be the
From the old
cards.
dot matrix printers. Yes.
Yes, he must have been looking at like who what tickets were sold and what sections and whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, big fan. I'm coming to the show tonight. And he said, oh, that's wonderful, wonderful. And I looked. He said, he signed. They signed their checks in their work names. He didn't sign Virgil Runnels. He signed at Dusty Rhodes, and Harley Race signed at Harley Race. So they were booked under their wrestling names.
That's awesome. Kayfabe, brother. Kayfabe.
Kayfabe. Yeah.
That's cool. I did not know that about you. That is awesome. That is super interesting. That's why I love doing this show. We can just talk about random things. You never know where it's going to go. I had no idea that you did that in college. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was law school, by the way. That wasn't Atlanta. That was in Baltimore, obviously.
Okay. No, that's really, really cool. And that's the thing too. It's like Atlanta and Baltimore are two great places for you to be at that time too, to be a wrestling fan. Like obviously Atlanta's going to be more NWA, WCW country, but Baltimore, actually we had, was it Johnny Bottles was from Baltimore? I think, right? Would they be able to get that both where you get to see that both companies good because both companies used Baltimore or performed in Baltimore a lot. So it wasn't something where, like if you lived up further north, the Northeast, you just had the WWF shows, or the further south, you just had the NWA, WCW ones.
It was like shared custody.
Yeah, right? Yeah. But like the good shared custody where you actually, where you got the 2 Christmases or 2 Hanukkahs or whatever, as opposed to like, one family's great and then you go hanging out with divorced dad Christmas where it's like, all right, we got you got your gas station candy here and here's a broom. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's true. But I mean, usually Baltimore back then would get the, like the traveling, they would just get the house shows. You wouldn't get the TV shows or the pay-per-views. Like when NWA, WCW came up there, it was like for a pay-per-view usually. It wasn't just a house show. So you actually got better cards. I mean, of course you were paying to see Brad Armstrong and Tracy Smothers and Ronnie Garvin, but the cards were better, If you like Kevin Sullivan versus Manny Fernandez, I mean, as opposed to Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus, Nikolai Volkov, one seemed a little bit more star-studded to me than the other, but maybe it's just my bias.
Hey, that tracks. I'm with you on that. That's cool though. That is really, that is one of the more interesting stories we've had on this show. I appreciate that. Thank you. I was not prepared for that. That was awesome.
I'm sorry, and you're welcome.
Hey. I like cool stuff. I mean, that kind of stuff is cool because I'm more interested in stories or things like that from people's kind of personal experiences or something with wrestlers or with anything, That's awesome.
Well, yeah. Well, I had 10 years of, Ring of Honor or thereabouts here, when Ring of Honor was based here. So, I mean, you go there and you would see like sort of sad decline from 1,100 people to like 400 people, and 50 of them were bussed in by the Briscoes.
Were you there for the Cornette Ring of Honor years?
No, that came later. This was Gabe
Sapolsky.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Cole was still in the Kingdom. The Bullet Club wasn't quite a thing here just yet, but it was about to be. I don't know, we had the whole thing, Bullet Club is fine, the first time and probably through the third time. Never had AJ here that I remember. I don't remember Finn being here either, but Adam Cole, obviously, Jay White was on excursion. He was the young lion here, so, very different looking Jay White, even though he's New Zealand, he looked so British then. I think he was trying to be the British Bulldog, more the British Bulldog there than trying to be, the Prince Devitt that he's, sort of is now. But yeah, it was fun stuff with, with Viking Raiders, Keith Lee, and with and without Shane Taylor. So it's good stuff. I mean, PJ was in and out, all sorts of good stuff. And then at the end, you have the Ring of Honor fans here who are, crazy. They're sort of like, whatever, they're saying like, this one's going to be a star and that one's going to be a star. They were telling me Brian Mecca Johnson is going to be a giant star. And they were talking to me about Wheeler Yuta, who I guess you could argue is, but he's sort of not. I mean,
Ish.
it's still, yeah, it's still the same people arguing
Yeah.
for Wheeler Yuta who were then.
Yeah.
I had the same thing with people in NWA, like, after the Cornette thing and they had to get rid of him and, people think NWA is the best. It's the greatest. I'm like, listen, I like it too. I watch it, but like to call it the greatest, what's wrong? I just realized that, like, some people just, they pick their team and ride or die. So good for them.
Yeah. But I mean, when your team's in last place and you're doing like the we're number one when the camera's on you, it still gets, it doesn't quite hold as much water, but.
Right. Can't people learn from the Saints fans?
I mean, I've been rooting for bad teams more of my life than I haven't. And it's like, I'll still love my team, but I'm not going to tell you they're good when you've lost 20 games this season or something. Like, come on, guys. It's what it is, but that's how wrestling fans are. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems and one of the reasons why we do the spaces that we do, where we only allow people on to speak when we want to, because people are just they're taking their side no matter what. There is no wrong that we can do no matter what. And it's like, yeah, I prefer WWE right now, but there's definitely stuff on the shows that I'm not enjoying or aren't a big fan of. And I want AEW to be good, but it's not my fault. It's not. It just is what it is. But people come in and they make it their whole personality where, those people, and so many people for so many years were against WWE because it was bad, or Vince's booking didn't make any sense, or was being changed last minute, or they weren't using wrestlers to even close to their best capabilities. But so they can't get out of that mindset. They're still trapped in 2018, 2019. It's like, at least we've moved forward. There's at least a better chance now, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to try to love the corporate owners or managers to have to love a product, you're going to have a lot of trouble, existing in any way, shape, or form. And I get it. It's, people say that's sort of a cop out, but really, like, try living without plastic. Well, where does plastic come from?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's it.
It's petroleum. Try living without pharmaceuticals. I mean,
or fossil fuels or anything with. I mean, that's what we do with the world we're in. Like, it's part of it. Like, you just gonna have to take the good with the bad and understand the people that they make it their entire personality, and have a little.
And people say, well, that's not how you make change. Well, truth is, if you look at history, really, consumer action isn't how you make change anyway. It's usually because a bunch of rich people who don't want to pay taxes on a certain kind of thing finance a revolution. I mean, that's usually, the few revolutions that have been successful, that's the template for them. Like, the people's revolutions usually fail, or the few that succeeded led to things that are much worse. See France, see Russia, see China.
And if Tony Khan had invested into his revolution of just making what he was doing good and getting the best product there, as opposed to just poking the bear and starting the war from day one when they didn't have an army behind him, build up your own world, build up your own army before you start taking them on. I mean, he was just thinking he was going to be WWF beating out WCW and just take it over. And it's like, no, if you remember back then, WWF for almost a full year was better television than Nitro. And it took people time to figure that out and make their way over. It wasn't just an instant thing, but literally from day one, from press conference one, they were focused on poking the bear versus fixing their own house. And that's why their revolution is in the same place that it was in 2019, which is nowhere.
Yeah, I would say it's gone
I was just going to say it's
yeah,
much worse. Yeah, because at least then they had goodwill. They had people giving it, that we're watching it week to week. I mean, how many weeks are you AEW free now?
Well, actually, Mike, who's who's listening, I don't know what you call it here, chat.
Yeah.
He, I started losing count around the late 40s, but he kept it on and he gave me my 1 year token.
Yeah, nice.
And
Mike Glass is good people, man. He helps keep us in line. He's helped me out quite a few times if things were just keep me in line. Let me know. I openly admit I will make mistakes. Please help me. I'm here for constructive criticism and help. I am not like Tony Khan. I'm ready to take you.
Yeah, I don't expect him to still be keeping track, but it's got to be between 65 and 70 weeks. without any AEW. And I was actually thinking about watching this coming week for the CMLL. I mean, I like some of those guys from MLW. It's like, it's just like I was saying before about like consumer action. It's like me watching or not watching, isn't it? It was just a shtick. I mean, I wasn't enjoying watching AEW. I wasn't even enjoying hate watching it. So just, free me, for 4 hours a week. But, I was going to watch it, but it's not even a CMLL card. It's like a regular AEW card which typically has people from
I was just going to say, so it's exactly like anything else they do, because there's always people on this show where they're like, oh, it's this person. Who? I mean, even with Stephanie Becker, the first time they had her come out, like when you said it was like, who, what? And like put her at the company where they actually know how to present her right and give her the best chance. Look at her. She's a massive star now.
They've gotten into a very dangerous situation where they have to name every week's Dynamite, like a special name every week, and that's not a good sign. There's no reason to be naming every single shit.
No, I mean, it's something that happened with the tag team division too, where like every time they put a team together, they have to give them some stupid pun of a tag team name. And it's just, it's focusing on the wrong shit. You focus on making the card good and the storylines of the show better, as opposed to making it the summer blockbuster or beach blast or fighter fest. Also too, why are you naming your show after a festival that failed and is about to fail again? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I feel like that was the first time when I saw that, when I was like, red flag, that's a big red flag. And then, I mean, honestly, ever since that point, wherever it was where Tony pushed Cody out of doing the booking and Tony's like, I'm doing all the booking now. It's all me. Like you can say like, that's the demarcation line. From that point moving forward, it's just been terrible and not gotten any better. And
well, maybe it's some meta self-awareness.
I mean, at this point, we're getting pretty deep into the meta.
That's true.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, like how many different shows have names for him? George is right. Like, I mean, it's at least 2, if not 3 every month, I feel like.
Well, all the phony baloney hardcore fans, remember, I mean, what was the big show they were supposed to have on Fox? It was going to be called Shockwave, right?
Right. Oh yeah, the one that Swerve told us, well, not told us, but was on camera telling people it was for sure going to happen. WWE got canceled off Fox. We're going to take the place. Neither of which happened at all, but okay.
Well, my point, there's already an NWA wrestling show called Shockwave. I mean, if it was WWE decide to do Fighter Fest, the IWC would be in open civil warfare or warfare. Like half the side would be like, that's outrageous. And the other half will be saying, that's great. It's fair. But I mean, nobody says anything about it. Now it never happened. So it's, I guess it's not a big deal. No harm, no foul. But, and I know it's NWA. They're not really on the same battlefield, but still, I mean, if you cared about indie wrestling, if you enjoyed all wrestling, you would think that's a pretty shitty thing to do.
Right. And yeah, exactly. Or like, look how their partnership with TNA was and how buried TNA got and how WWE is actually helping TNA get focused on. They're putting TNA talent on their shows and having them actually win matches. Like, oh my gosh. Like,
yeah, it's like a partnership.
Yeah, like, it's like a real partnership. And then they immediately were trying to bury it of like, oh, well, they had Joe Hendry lose to Trick and now Trick's, to build the story up to make somebody a bigger star, which they're doing with Mike Santana, which is why they had him win on NXT, cut great promos on the NXT PLEs and on NXT television, as opposed to just having Kenny Omega beat everybody on their roster and Tony Khan cut promos on TV where he just not only shits on TNA, but shits on WWE. So you're, by proxy, you're
it's
catching
not just Mike Santana though. They've also reintroduced the world to Elijah.
Yeah.
And he's gotten over. And AJ Francis, if anyone could believe that. And Casey Navarro of all things. I mean, what is he? 5'3", 106
And they have him next to AJ Francis, so he looks even smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
heck, even Mustafa Ali's doing well over there. Like, yeah, they're putting investment into it. It's fun to watch.
I hate to say this, but okay, so I watched the, TNA's most recent pay-per-view they put
Against
on
All
YouTube
Odds.
Okay, so I watched it.
Right, because they put it on YouTube.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying I fell in love with TNA or anything. I didn't think it was all that interesting to show. I don't know when Eddie Edwards became the love child of Sean Spears and Tommy Dreamer. All that is irrelevant. But But as soon as I saw Mustafa Ali come out with John Schuyler and I'm not sure, the Jason Hotch, I think is the guy's name. I mean, I understood exactly what that act was immediately. I understood who the characters were. I understood who was good or bad. I understood that there was dissension in their ranks immediately. It was just good theater. And I was never much of a Mustafa Ali fan. Everyone's like, it's going to be a giant star. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe not. There's like another 12 people just like him on this roster. But he's there and he's found this niche and he's doing a and he wasn't the only one. He was just he stood out to me because I knew who he was and I was never, really into him. But, everyone, you knew what their roles were. You knew who were the bad guys, who were the good guys. You knew who was the underdog. I mean, in AEW, I don't know who anybody really is, and I don't think they do. I mean, if I was to watch the internet, Mike Speedball Bailey and Kevin Knight are among the top guys, but they're SD Jones and Israel Mattia. They lose every week,
Yeah.
They're they put on a good show, I suppose.
Yeah.
If you like that sort of thing, they put on it's fireworks, but they lose. I mean, if someone loses all the time, I don't care what kind of a show they give me. You got to win every now and then. You got to have the 1, 2, 3 beat Razor Ramon if you want to make them something.
Yeah, no, or if you do have them get the win, you've got to follow up on it and not and either push them further with their storyline, or don't just have them wrestle the person again and lose. That was what they did with what's his name, Kyle Fletcher, where he beat Ospreay once, and then Ospreay beat him the next 2 times they wrestled, once in a cage match. Like, you just can't. There's no push or follow up to it. But I mean, and also TNA does actually invest in its women's division. I mean, the women's matches make sense. They're doing stuff with the women's tag titles. They just brought back not the Iconics, the Inspiration is what they're called over there in TNA. But it's great. Like, it's not it, and they're staying in their lane. Like, they're not trying to go over the top. They're not trying to do the over the top, 8K production that WWE puts in it. They're doing what they can. Like, that show, that Against All Odds show, was here in the Phoenix area. It was out in Tempe at like where the ASU hockey team plays. The Mullet Arena is what it's called. I think it holds like 5,000 people. And I think they put in like almost 4,500 people in there. I didn't go because I had to choose between that and Monday Night Raw. And I live 4 light rail stops from the basketball arena where Raw was. And I would have had to drive and pay for parking and all that shit at the other one. So I went to Raw instead, and I'm really glad I did because it was a great show.
Are you waving?
Well, yeah, I got on TV. Yeah. What's funny about that is literally, like, that's my live, you see me live reacted to it, because like all of a sudden they showed Cena and I'm like, wait, that black hair. I'm like, that's behind me. And I start moving around. I'm like, oh shit, that's me. That was fun. No, I got a ticket. I'm definitely for sure. I got a ticket that they sold, or they put them on sale after they'd set up the arena. Cause they knew they were going to have the smaller set, and like the little area that like 7 of us were in, all of us, everybody got their ticket after 3:00 and the show started at 5. I bought my ticket at 3:40, so that's going to be my new move, I think, for WWE, cause the seat was awesome and it was $116. And I mean, that's expensive, but not that bad for that good of a Raw. I mean, the Punk promo and Cena, and then they had the entire upper level sold out too. I was at the January 3rd SmackDown in the same arena that had like 11,000 in it for that one, but there was 2 or 3 sections upstairs that were closed off, and they had a bigger stage. This one was over 14,000, and you could tell it was packed. So I don't care what Dave tries to tell you with the numbers or whatever they're trying to schmooze, that things, I see people keep saying like it's a sinking ship or the shows are bad or whatever, but I'm not seeing it. I don't know what the arena that they had in Kentucky on Friday holds, but looked pretty goddamn packed to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, I don't know why Dave is always arguing numbers as opposed to just stating what the numbers are.
Because he's an insane person.
Yeah. Predicting like the bubble of the WWE, prices will pop at some point is easy money. I'm concerned with the same thing, but until it happens,
right.
Don't cite it as fact, cite the news. I mean, if he wants to have his opinion cited, he can do both. It's his outlet. He can do both report and opine.
But his opinions are facts, though. Don't you know that? I mean, his match ratings mean all. Like, if it's 5 stars from Dave, it's 5 stars. fucking hell, I can't even say it out loud.
I know, but the thing about the 5-star things is that if people didn't pay any attention to it, nobody would talk about it. But everybody pays attention to it, so why would he stop?
It's like the Simpsons episode.
Say, just don't give it attention. I mean,
it's like the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror with the adverts when they come to life. Just don't look. And I tried. I've got Dave muted. I try to avoid him as best I can, but it's unfortunately thrown to my face.
He blocked me.
Oh yeah, no, he blocked me. I went back and figured it out. He blocked me sometime in 2021.
He blocked, he blocked me. It was probably about a year ago. It was sort of out of the blue in that our conversations, to the extent they're conversations, were no different that particular time than they had been, the prior X months. Cordial, we disagreed, but, he was getting more intense about, what he was saying, but, I was me. I'm the same, and all of a sudden blocked. I'm like, well, that took a long time, but
I'm not blocked.
That still surprises me, George. I feel like you would be blocked just for your association with either Phil, me, somebody.
I know.
But I feel like maybe he doesn't know though, because if he's got the people around him that he's got all of us blocked, maybe he doesn't realize the affiliation. I'm not sure. That's funny.
It's hard to miss, but whatever. Hey, Dose, I promised you I'd get you out at the bottom of the hour, so.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, my bad. I just get talking. Yeah, George's got to reel me in on that. I can talk.
No, it's fine. I didn't even realize that, but that's cool. That's good. I mean.
I wanted to ask you one last question, though.
Yeah.
If I can. Since you're friends with Maria, are you into NJPW at all?
I'm sorry. I'm friends with who?
Marie Shadows.
Oh, I know. I don't do any New Japan. No, she knows that the extent I know New Japan is just whatever they did with Ring of Honor and sort of what you sort of learn just by being around. And, obviously the last, 6 years has been tons of New Japan. I mean, they talked about podcast world, but no, I don't follow New Japan. I don't talk about it. I don't have any opinions on it except that if I was going to worry about business, I think I'd be worried about their business.
Yeah. I agree.
Hey, but they draw better than the AEW does on it, at least from what we've seen on their shows together. So yeah, no, that's Marie Shadows is definitely the NJPW expert. I know, but I know either as much or maybe less than you do on it, though. So yeah, I openly admit I don't have much knowledge of that area.
No, and you know what? I not to be meaner, I don't care. It's like I'm not all that interested. I don't feel like you need to love every kind of wrestling. Just if you say you do, at least walk it. I mean, the funny thing is, I'm a filthy casual. I'm just a long-term filth. Like I will almost never rewatch wrestling. I don't like when people say, "What's your favorite, SummerSlam match?" When's the last time you watched? Never. I don't do that. It's like wrestling to me is all reruns. I can't imagine actually actively seeking to watch actual reruns. But
no, I get you. That makes sense. I get it. The same thing. Like I'm a big fan of my specific English Premier League soccer team that I watch, and I love that team, and I watch the league, but I don't pay that much attention. People just think, oh, you like all soccer. Like I watch what happens in Spain or France or all the international games, all this and all that. Or I'm going to watch like the Wrexham show and all the other type of shows. I'm like, I like my team. I like them. I don't have to love everything around it, every other thing to not like, I understand the sport. I'm a fan, but I don't need to watch every little thing. Like it's okay. I feel like that's the same way with those people with wrestling of it. Yeah.
But
sorry that I don't know everything.
That's the thing about Evolve and shows like an NXT and whatnot, and also my show with the interviews with Thomas is that you start talking to people and you get to know them. And now I sort of want to support them. Like so,
right?
If Shaza or Vinny or Big Trouble Ben Bishop, if they're at MCW, I'm going to go. I know Ben Bishop is in Hagerstown. That's a hike, but you know what? At some point, I'm going to go to check out him at a show.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Kaya McKenna's here, so I mean. I will do it. It's just, but I wouldn't have before. Now I will because I know some of the people, and that's fun. And not to be like, ooh, let's go to the diner. No, we just go to see him in a show, and it's a good job.
Yeah, no, shout out to Ben Bishop.
Want to give your plugs again for the folks here before you depart us, please?
Sure. Well, listen, if you like Evolve, it's on the Wrestling Soup and Friendos feed. Maybe it'll be on the regular Wrestling Soup feed next week. It's called The Dose of Chocolate. It's also, we do it live, usually Thursday nights around 10. After Wrestling Soup is over, then like a little half hour, it's me and White Chocolate. So if you're not on the Wrestling Soup Discord, you can join. It's free. And my show is Garden of Thought. You can subscribe to that, and whatever shows I have, you'll get automatically on the feed. There's no Patreon. There's no fees. There's no super chat. It's audio, so you can listen to it, at 1.5 speed. Listen, I know how I speak. I know I speak like Bob Newhart or Charles Grodin. So just put me on 1.5 or 2 times speed, and it's much better. I promise.
The Bob Newhart reference.
Awesome.
I love it.
Dose, I can't thank you enough for coming on, bud.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dose. This was awesome. Really appreciate you, buddy.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was great, George. That was fun. Man, I didn't realize we'd gone that fast either. All of a sudden I looked at the time, 6:20. I was there, 9:25 each. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, next week will be MJ.
Yep. No, yeah. So between the two shows, it's 3 Jews with attitudes. I like it.
I did this on purpose. I booked them all right in a row so you can be happy.
No, it's great. And then we've got Marie Shadows coming on afterwards to preview the show, and then we go with the post show. So no, I think we're good. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody else going to cover anything else, but I think I'm pretty good today.
Let's see. Next week, MJ at 8:05, and hopefully Marie the next week. We'll discuss the time when we figure out what's going on. And first week of July is for the people.
Yep.
And then after that schedule gets all messed up. So we'll just work on it as we go.
After that, we'll see how the wrestling goes with it. But no, I think we're good. No, I think I'm good.
Where can we get the replay of this show, Jake, by the way?
Yeah, that was what I was getting into. Appreciate you, George. Yeah, please, if you guys like what you're hearing, or if you're not sure but you want to hear more of it, please go subscribe. It's youtube.com/@AltJakeTakesOn. Or if you just click on my profile here from X, I have it in my description. I post all of our videos there. Post the replays of the spaces. George and I usually record one full episode a week. We're doing weekly or bi-weekly reviews of classic wrestling matches. And we're also open to other things. So please like, comment, subscribe. What was that?
So those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I like it. It really is cool because I'm kind of similar to Dose in the sense where like I will go back and rewatch things sometimes, or but usually it's because of a reason. Like with the Bret Hart and Steve Austin match, it's like it's going into the Hall of Fame. I could watch that again, and then we're watching matches of things that we've been at. Little teaser that the next one that we're gonna watch is gonna be something that's involving what's going on right now in wrestling as well, but we're going to go back to a classic match from, over 10 years ago. So it'll be a lot of fun, but stay tuned for what we're doing. Please subscribe, share with your friends. We're trying to be more of wrestling conversationalists. We're trying to do something different. So I'm also, like I said with Dose, I'm open to constructive criticism. If there's stuff you like, stuff you don't like, things you think we could improve with, like, please, by all means. But I will work to get this up on the replay of this up on the YouTube in the next, give me 90 minutes, 2 hours, because I still got to eat dinner too, but I'll work my butt off quickly to get this up for us.
All right. Thank you all for joining us.
Join us. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week, 8:05 p.m. Eastern with MJ from NJ. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.